Hey guys, Nitsahone here with the newest deck series that I've decided to do. This one's more casual. It's not intended to be like an ultra competitive deck that can potentially compete in modern dailies. But it's a fun modern deck that is, I mean, it's pretty competitive. It's fun, more of a kitchen table kind of deck, a deck to play, if you like a lot of fun interactions in your deck. But not a deck that I think will be ultra competitive. But it's fun to make casual decks too. Also, this one's like a super budget casual deck with the sideboard and everything. I have it pulled up here. The deck is $28.24, and that's with the expensive lands and everything. Many of the cards are under $1 a piece, and that really helps out the cost of the deck. So it's a cheap deck to throw together if you want to do it. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy playing with it a lot. In this series, I'll be playing the deck, against various opponents and making changes to it, just like I did in the Black Red Zombies series. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll end up thinking it is competitive enough to try it in a modern daily. I don't see that happening right now, but anyway, I'll get to discussing the deck. The main point of this deck is blinking creatures with into the battlefield abilities and really abusing them and getting a lot of value out of them. Conjurer's Closet is like one of my all-time favorite Magic cards. It costs 5 mana, which is a little pricey, but once you get it in play, every turn you get to blink one of your creatures, and they all have entered the battlefield abilities in this deck, so you get some kind of value out of it. We run 4 of those, and they're all really nice. We also run 4 Flicker Wisps, who also, in addition to being a pretty efficiently costed beater in the air if it needs to be, also lets you blink one of your creatures. And I would have Restoration Angel in this if it were going outside of a budget idea here. But all my deck videos are intended to be budget videos, so we don't have Restoration Angel in here. Obviously, she's one of the best cards that can blink, ever. So you've seen the way that I intend to blink my creatures, and now we'll talk about the creatures we have in the deck that we want to blink. We have Wall of Omens, which is just a great card. We can play it early. It draws us a card, and it can really hold off, taking damage in the early game, and that's really great. It's a great card to have. And when sometimes you'll end up with a Flicker Wisp or a Conjurer's Closet, but not be able to get to any of our big guys, which we'll talk about later. And if you just keep blinking your Wall of Omens, you're eventually going to get there. We also have Ravenous Rats in here, who's kind of the opposite image of Wall of Omens. It doesn't really block very well like Wall of Omens, but it attacks your opponent's hand, and you can disrupt them early with this. And then if you start blinking it, you can really get a lot of value out of the Ravenous Rats. And it can still block. It can still keep you from taking damage, but it's rarely going to be able to block for multiple turns like Wall of Omens. We also have a couple Sandstep Outcasts. The deck can go wide with some of its enter the battlefield abilities. Here we'll put a Spirit Token into play almost always. I'm going to keep doing so. I just have 2 of them right now. The reason I don't have more is because I think Willian Hedge Mage is actually better as a 3-drop. We're almost always going to control 2 plains and 2 swamps. So you're almost always going to get a Kithkin Soldier, and you're almost always going to get to put a -1/-1 counter on a creature. So even if she can't kill something with the counter, she can make it much more manageable for you in the early game. And this deck definitely wants to try to get to the late game. It wants to stall out with, hand disruption, card draw, going wide, and getting lots of blockers in the early game. Most of the time, that's what it wants to do, so that it can get to the late game, which is where it can just win. We have a couple Sidisi's in here to help us search for Conjurer's Closet if we can't find it, or to help us find our win condition. Sometimes Sidisi can be a win condition too. It can be blinked too, of course. So you can keep searching. You don't have to sacrifice a creature every time, but you can search for a card every turn if you want to, and especially if you're also generating a creature token with your Hedge Mages or Sandstep Outcasts. And we also have Duplicates, who are sort of a utility creature. It's pretty sweet because it's 6 mana and it exiles a creature. It can get rid of indestructible guys, get rid of any removal resistant guys as long as they don't have hexproof. But any of the other removal resistant effects it can deal with. And then it gets power and toughness equal to that, which can sometimes be pretty nice. And the nice thing with Conjurer's Closet is you can keep bouncing your Duplicate every turn and slowly whittle away your opponent's board with your Duplicate. They don't get the creature back. It's not like an Oblivion Ring or something like that. It exiles the card permanently, and every time it comes back into play, you can exile something new. And then we have, 3 big win conditions. We can go wide and win that way sometimes, or Flicker Wisp can win it, or a duplicant who's juiced up on the right creature, or even Sidisi. But these 3 guys are guys that come into play that are almost always just going to win you the game, especially if you have a Conjurer's Closet in play already. Sun Titan, all our creatures in our deck except for our big win conditions and our Sidisis cost 3 or less. So when Sun Titan comes into play, you get to return one of these, and then they have an enter the battlefield ability, so it just creates a chain. You get a dude back, and then something's going to happen because all of these have enter the battlefield abilities. He's not quite as game-breaking as some of the others, but he's a big body, and you're going to get value out of him no matter what. If you have a closet in play, you're going to get 2 creatures back, and every time he swings, you get a creature back too. So that's pretty nice. Grave Titan can much more effectively just end a game, especially if your opponent doesn't have instant speed removal, because especially if you have a Conjurer's Closet in play too, because no matter what, you're going to get 2/2 black zombie creatures. And then if you can closet it again at the end of your turn, you just paid 6 mana for 10 power, or more than that, 14 power of creatures, and that's pretty great. And then we have Massacre Worm, who, even without Conjurer's Closet in play, can wipe a lot of boards. But if you have the Closet in play, it's going to kill almost, every creature in the format, or get close to it, and let you swing with all your little dudes that you're going to have out there. And he also hurts the opponent for every creature that dies. He can just massacre your opponent, which is why that's his name, I guess. And with the Closet in play, is especially effective. This deck is pretty reliant on, getting a Closet in play, or, at least Flicker Wisping a couple times. And it does it pretty consistently. I mean, with the Sidisis, we can search out the Closet. So we effectively have like 6 copies of Conjurer's Closet in the deck. We have Wall of Omens, which can draw us cards, and then Flicker Wisp, which can draw us more. And we can usually find a win condition, too, with the help of Sidisis and Wall of Omens. In addition to sort of the engine we have here of the Closet and the Flicker Wisps mixed with comes into play abilities, we also just have, removal in the deck, as most decks need. We run 3 Doomblades, which I do because, artifact decks are more common right now than decks are that have black creatures in them. So I have 3 Doomblades main board and 1 Go for the Throat. We'll look at the sideboard later, but I have 1 Doomblade and 3 Go for the Throats in the sideboard in the event I play like a mono black deck and the Doomblades are dead. We also have 1 Banishing Light and 1 Oblivion Ring. They're basically the same card. Oblivion Ring's actually cheaper, so if you want 2 Oblivion Rings, then go for it. I just have it like that because that's what I have. And we also have Duplicant, which acts as removal, and the Hedge Mage can act as removal. The rats knock stuff out of their hand. I mean, so it's a pretty controlling deck in the early game. We blow stuff up, kill their guys, and then try to get to where we can just start generating all kinds of value. Whether we have to go wide with Kithkin tokens or Spirit tokens, or whether we need to, play one of our big bombs that can just end the game. Just a few words on the sideboard. Here's the 1 Doomblade and 3 Go for the Throats I was talking about. We've also got Disenchants to deal with, decks where, it's just better. It's better to be able to target all of their or more of their permanents, so like an Affinity deck or something like that, an Artifact deck. So I would side out removal for that. I have 3 Aven Rift Watchers in the deck. I almost put this guy main board because it's a pretty good aggressive card, especially when you can blink it. The way Vanishing works, every time you blink the Rift Watcher, it comes back into play with the 3 Vanishing counters, so you get 3 more turns with it. Moreover, it has an effect that happens when it enters and leaves the battlefield. It doesn't have to die, so every time you closet it, you gain 4 life. So you can do that every turn and keep a 2/3 flyer in play that can attack every turn. I have these in there to side in against us, even more aggressive decks than what we're prepared to face, especially like if I run into burn decks or something like that. Gaining 4 life a turn can really cripple them if we can. I mean, even if we can't, really abuse its ability, it's going to gain us 4 life almost no matter what, so that's pretty nice. And I also side it in sometimes when I need my deck to be more aggressive against an opponent where it's clear that I'm just not going to have time to get to my bombs no matter what. I sometimes will side out, or if an opponent without a lot of creatures too, I'll side out the Duplicants and put in the Rift Watchers just to have, it's a strong 3-drop, so that can really do some damage. We have Austere Command, which does unfortunately, if we want to destroy all artifacts or enchantments, we've got to hit our own stuff. But we can also blow up all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater, which can often benefit us a lot. And sometimes we don't care and we need to destroy all artifacts and enchantments. It's just a really good card. And then if we feel like we want even more disruption, say we're playing a combo deck, we have Nevermore, which can shut down one of their combo pieces, and we have Sin Collector, which can remove one of the combo pieces from their hand. And that's something I would side in for like Sandstep Outcasts against an opponent where I just need to be able to disrupt them enough to, beat them. I don't. So yeah. So that's the deck. It's a really fun deck. I'm gonna post some videos of its gameplay in the coming weeks and days, and I hope you enjoy it. It's like I said, it's not nearly as competitive as the first deck in the series I did, but I wanted to take sort of a break from that and play a deck that's just a lot of fun. I mean, the other deck was fun, but this deck's really a lot of fun to play. Just generating value like this is fun, and you get to use some not often used cards like Willian Hedgemage and Massacre Worm, and even Duplicant, who really only sees play in like Commander these days. And it's a lot of fun to do that and generate value out of these sorts of cards. And it's cheap to make too and fun to play. So I hope you think the deck's interesting. Let me know if you have any suggestions. If you're curious, I've thought about other color combinations, and I may build other versions of this deck and other color combinations. I think blue-white has real potential, but I just found so many nice abilities in black and white what comes into play. Like, Grave Titan and Massacre Worm as win conditions are instrumental, and you really need Flicker Wisp. So I think this is the right color combination to go with, but let me know if you have some other ideas, especially about color combinations, because this deck, the basic part of Conjurer's Closet and 4 Flicker Wisps can be put into a lot of different color combinations, as long as one color is white. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and soon I'll post some gameplay of this deck. So thanks for watching.